This is no nonsense. This is an interesting segment, and I want to talk about it. So let's go.
Viewers are certain to remember that at the end of each episode of The Sports Reporters, hosted here on ESPN by my father, Dick Schaap, for 13 years, and then by John Saunders for 15, the panelists and the host would offer up their parting shots. Here on OTL, we will be doing the same every week. At least that's the plan for now. This week, Stephen A. Smith leads off. Odell Beckham
But
Jr.
great. Will Kane is a punching bag for ESPN. Keep in mind, he was picked by John Pataro. James Pataro. That's his name. I believe that's the president of ESPN. James Pataro is like Alfred to Batman. He has to make sure that ESPN stays Batman and don't get undercover as Bruce Wayne. In other words, he has to make sure that ESPN doesn't show their hand with their liberal views. James Pataro is aware that they're losing ratings during the talk about politics, right? So Jordan say Republicans buy shoes too. So he's taking that approach. He added a Republican, right, such as Will Kane, to quote unquote balance out, but in actuality, he's there to be a punching bag, right? So when he gets on the show, he's also a Cowboys fan. So he's already going to be seen as someone like a bandwagon or someone who's not stable, like a lot of the Cowboys fans, right? So when they talk about political views, he's going to go far right. And those guys are going to talk about him on the show, and he is going to get Donkey of the Day. This is why him and Max Kellerman look like they don't like each other, because Max Kellerman is liberal and he is conservative. He used to work under Bill Shine, who was forced out of Fox due to sexual allegations that he tried to cover up, and also Glenn Beck, who had to divorce his first wife due to drug substance, right? And Glenn Beck is a guy who probably struggles with mental problems, right? He is a conservative libertarian, as he say. Now he's a conservative. He claims he's going to vote for Trump again. I guess he's sick of the, I would say, quote unquote, the Democrats' nonsense. So he's going to run to Donald Trump, right? Because he's conservative at heart. But he's probably a guy, right? Because keep in mind, he wanted to search for faith. He took a lot of classes and dropped them, right? So he struggles with a lot of mental problems and also trying to find the right way, as it seems. So these are the guys Will Kane has been under. So Will Kane is going to be a punching bag. He's quote unquote here to balance out. But James Pataro, who was handpicked by Disney coming off John Skipper, who had to quit because he was a cocaine addict. And I won't be surprised if he did sex trafficking, because doing cocaine and sex trafficking with these politicians just go hand in hand. So James Pataro has to be the guy that has to be seen as this clean guy, that's supposed to make ESPN image seem great. He's supposed to be balanced and neutral, but in actuality, Will Kane is a punching bag. And in actuality, he is here to manage the ratings and the money, right? And also telling ESPN that, hey, we can't just show our hand. We got to do it a different way. We got to do it through basketball players. So when LeBron James speaks out, you get to talk about LeBron talking about Donald Trump or conservative issues or the NFL. When Tiger Woods talks about Donald Trump, then you get to talk about Tiger Woods talking about Donald Trump, etc. So he pretty much changes the game plan. He has to make sure that Batman stays Batman and nobody knows that it's Bruce Wayne. James Pataro is pretty much there so the media doesn't show their hand. He's been handpicked by Disney. Keep in mind, Disney, I believe they CEO, what's the brother name? The Ebor? I can't remember. He was handpicked by the CEO of Disney. Disney spreads the devil's work. But yeah, he's just a punching bag.
Successfully made it all about Odell Beckham Jr. again. On Monday night, we watched the LSU Tigers complete the best season by a college football team in history, led by the best season from a quarterback, Joe Burrow, in college football history. And yet somehow, the LSU alum and the second best receiver on a 6-10 NFL team, Odell Beckham Jr., made it all about him. Celebrating on the field after the game, Beckham peeled off 50s and hundreds off a wad of cash, and he handed it to LSU players in full view of crowds, reporters, cameras, anyone he could get to look at it. He wrestled the megaphone away from the band, and he interrupted Coach O's victory speech. Then, in the locker room, he slapped a security guard on the butt, for which an arrest warrant for simple battery has now been issued in New Orleans. Now, look.
He looking at police and tackle him. I understand in the game you slap people on the butt like good game, right? But just walk up to a random dude and slap him on the butt, right? Right. Listen, look, I'm African American, right? And there are discriminations in America. But you can't do whatever you want, and then when something happens to you, you yell discrimination. I'm just being real with you, right? I think we need more wisdom, right? The Bible tells us wisdom is more valuable than rubies and than money, right? They say wisdom is more valuable than rubies. It's more valuable than money. Odell Beckham, it's no doubt to me that I believe that he does cocaine. Obviously, he was caught with some white chick doing some type of substance, cocaine, obviously. And I say obviously because I think she's obviously doing cocaine. I think he does some type of substance, plus the fact that he gets hit on the football field. And like I said, attention is like cocaine. And the NFL is just not going to put up with his nonsense, unfortunately for him. See, if he was in the NBA, then things would have been different for him.
I don't think any high crime was committed here. And I don't want an NCAA investigation. And I don't think criminal charges are warranted. But from his watch against NFL regulations, to his visor against NFL regulations, to his shoes against NFL regulations, it's always about Odell. And on the biggest night LSU has had in a decade, his post-game antics managed to steal the shine and make it all about Odell again.
Tomorrow, the Chiefs are in the AFC Championship.
Look at this chick right here. So she is a reporter, an editor that works at websites, right? That is more Democrat liberal agenda. That's her job. A lot of these ESPN hire a lot of these reporters that used to work for Democratic news, right? I believe she worked, she's like the editor, chief editor of Bloomberg. So, you know, you look at a lot of these reporters, they come on her to promote an agenda, right? So let's see what she got to say.
And I'm looking forward to watching their offense, which is helmed by a man named Eric Bieniemy, who, despite coordinating the most explosive attack in football, did not get an offer to be an NFL head coach. Now, recently, as the ranks of non-white coaches have dwindled, everybody's been looking for explanations other than discrimination. They'll point out that...
There you go. Here we go again. Right. So when you want to get attention of the black people, right, you say, hey, guys, it's discrimination.
Andy Reid, not Bieniemy, is the Chiefs' primary play caller, as he was with Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson, both of whom became head coaches. They'll argue that teams want guys with quarterback experience. They'll look at the men who are getting jobs and reverse engineer narratives to explain the shifting winds that seem to blow their sails. But really, if they want to understand why diversity isn't rising, they should look below them at places like Minnesota, where the sons of Gary Kubiak and Mike Zimmer are reportedly being considered for both coordinator spots, or Washington, where Norv Turner's son was just hired to run the offense. Now, I'm sure these young coaches are good at their jobs, but their ascension reflects a simple truth. People give opportunities to people who remind them of themselves. They're not always related to them. They're not always undeserving, but they are buoyed by forces more powerful than any football trend. And it's those forces that explain why the NFL's coaches and players look nothing alike.
Well, thank you, Minnie Kings. Right. Well, let's talk about the NFL, NBA. The NBA only have I believe they only have 5 head black coaches, right? Look at these analytical nerds. These analytical nerds are taking over the NBA. I remember my dad was joking about the spy net, how the spy net and the internet and computers going to take over the world. Maybe you should look at the analytics. They get these GM, you know, these high positions in the hierarchy, right, of an organization. And they fire these black coaches, right? Or they make them as assistant coaches. And they get an analytical nerd as a head coach. And when they fire that analytical nerd, those assistant coaches don't even become They don't even become head coaches. They stay as assistant coaches. And some become head coaches, but then they still lay them off and hire an analytical nerd. Look at J.B. Bickerstaff. J.B. Bickerstaff, when he was the coach after they fired, I believe, Kevin McHale, he had a good little run with Houston. And I believe he even had a good little run with Memphis Grizzlies. And reports saying that Cleveland like him more than they like John Beeline. They just don't want to come across that type of subject they're accusing the NFL of, because the NBA is going to hit it with, we do got black coaches. You guys don't. But keep in mind, they put these black people as assistant coaches and they don't go up. There's 5 black head coaches in the NBA out of all 30 teams. And you even look at the hierarchy of these organizations. But Mina Kimes is not going to address that, because the NBA is liberal, right? They fit in your alley. They right in your alley. The NFL is more conservative. So they're going to talk about that problem along the NFL, because they're conservative and you're liberal, right? Your job is to attack the conservatives because you're a liberal. Mina Kimes. You're a reporter on their liberal news. But hey.
Thank you. When Kyrie Irving decided to speak to the media a few days ago, highlighting a few glaring needs the Brooklyn Nets may have, something occurred to me. Load management just might not be the NBA's biggest issue after all. Perhaps it's the loads of management some of the game's biggest stars may actually require. Think about this for a second. We've got a Brooklyn Nets star guard making $31.7 million this year, fresh off of missing 26 games already this season due to a bad shoulder, talking about the Nets' glaring needs, even if he and Kevin Durant are on the court.
I agree with Kyrie, but that part of that is because of Kyrie. His game doesn't allow other people's game to shine. It's being real with you, it's like Carmelo in a sense. And if they are a seed, or they miss the playoffs, I don't understand how can a healthy KD coming off Achilles injury save them.
Healthy together. We've got the $32 million man in Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, right, needs to build continuity with that Clippers team as a whole. Right, guys like to rave on his individual skills, and it is great. But if they don't have no chemistry, they're going to lose. Once they get continuity, I think they're going to be fine.
Missing games to prevent injuries from happening ahead of time. We've got Anthony Davis, legitimately too sore to play with a bruised back, but evidently no problem at all boarding a flight to Green Bay for a Packers game.
Well, he's following out his daddy Brown footsteps. I call him a neuter dog, right, on one of my earlier videos. So obviously LeBron has influenced him on and off the court, right? He's a neuter dog. Paul Pierce said LeBron be promising NBA players celebrity women. I do believe that. LeBron the plug. LeBron obviously give him Space Jam. He gives him undercover deals, endorsement, women. He's a new, and you know he took all of that. Want to be Showtime? He's a neuter dog now. He's there to enhance LeBron's legacy.
Flashing for the cameras along the way. What is this? Perhaps it's all about the titles, or just simply doing things their way, as opposed to the best way. No one wants to hear a star talking about needs when his dollars may compromise a team's ability to provide them.
Well, thank you. Well, that's why when I hear shows coming there and telling guys to get that money, get that money, get that money, that's fine. But you also should warn people the good and the bad of things, right? The right and the left. You can't just be one-sided. When you get the money, and that's fine, go get the money. But you also compromise your team for getting other pieces. You hear, oh man, I will never count another man's bread. That's fine. But just know that your team won't get any pieces. Look at the Portland Trail Blazers.
No one wants to hear about stars who already get at least 4 months off per year, planning on taking more time off on the customer's dime.
Thank you. This is why I say that if you want to low manage a game, then you should get paid. You should not get paid that game.
Too injured to play. How about being too injured to fly? As for those who say, you know what, it's about screwing over the fans, but who cares about optics? Here's the solution.
Thank you. Max Kellerman said that, Stephen A. So you're talking to Max Kellerman about that.
Solution for the
And I won't be surprised if these guys are paying these medical staff to lie on their behalf.
players.
Such as LeBron and all these guys that say, we won't say we're low managing. we say that we got a sore back or a sore knee, a sore head, a sore liver, a sore throat, whatever.
You don't take the money. See how that works for you.
The timing is exquisite or atrocious or uncanny. Here we are having a national debate about cheating in baseball, about how cheating should be punished, about what's acceptable subterfuge and what crosses the line, just a few days before we'll find out whether Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens makes the Hall of Fame. For years, they've been getting closer to the threshold for enshrinement. At face value, of course, their resumes would have guaranteed selection on the first ballot many years ago. But they've been punished because they're believed to have benefited from PEDs.
PED is such a touchy subject, right? I remember George Call alluded to somebody going overseas on this book to get enhancements. But, you know, there was a report which the sources has been quote-unquote destroyed, or the facility has been destroyed in Miami. I think I saw Eric Bledsoe. I know I saw Dwayne Wade and LeBron on that list. I think I also saw Eric Bledsoe. And keep in mind, Eric Bledsoe is close with LeBron. And there were some other names. I know I remember seeing LeBron and D Wade because those two are prominent. You know, they're big names, right? But the NBA is not going to do that because of the PED situation that pretty much hurt baseball. They don't want it to do that to the NBA.
I have no vote, but you may count me among those less than eager to see them selected.
And I almost forgot, as far as the PED situation, Stephen A was alluding to something in terms of guys want to take low management and all that crap. And I meant to say this, but it almost slipped my mind. I hear about how guys are bigger, stronger, faster now. Guys are more durable. But yet they want low managed because they quote unquote want a longer career. But in actuality, they're not conditioned to play long minutes. They're not conditioned to play long minutes, right? So now a lot of these guys on PED, and they're not conditioned, right? The NBA is not going to tell you that.
However,
They're going to say that they're bigger, stronger, faster now 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, and they're going to brainwash you. The reason why guys look slower a lot back then, keep in mind things evolved, but the reason why a lot of things looked a bit slower because of the tough defense and the strict refereeing. It was hard to do a crossover in the 60s. So a person couldn't really develop the freedom of a crossover like Allen Iverson did. And I give credit to him. But it was strict refereeing in the 60s. It was tough physical defense in the 90s, right? Notice how you're free to do anything you want in today's era. You look at Pistol Pete, right? You look at Magic Johnson. Look at a lot of those. Imagine what a lot of those guys would have been able to do in today's era with the freedom of what they can do. Look at Isaiah Thomas of the Detroit Pistons. You know, like I said, this is why I say that, you know, I never believed that guys played against plumbers, right? Because when you hear bigger, stronger, faster, you convince yourself that your era plays, and a lot of guys gonna rep their era, but you convince yourself that a lot of guys play tougher competition now, and back then they were plumbers because they want quote unquote bigger, stronger, faster. But they provide no context. They're just the media's agenda to boost up LeBron, right? And try to downgrade Jordan because they're trying to force that stupid LeBron versus Jordan debate. But the competition Jordan faced, they are all-time leaders, rather it's assist leaders or points, steals or blocks. Look at Mutombo, Hakeem Olajuwon, John Stockton, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, right? Even his teammate Scottie Pippen. These guys are quote-unquote plumbers, right? But his competition is an all-time leader of either points, rebounds, or assists, steals, or blocks. But hey, this is not the type of video.
This is a big, however. How can they remain out in the cold, staring through the picture windows into the museum at Cooperstown, when just a few days ago, Commissioner Rob Manfred declined to so much as even scold any...
Well, I'm not real versed on baseball. No, I don't watch baseball. Well, that's it. If you like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and this, that, no nonsense.